I didn't lose my mind overnight. I lost it slowly. Every time I swallowed my truth to keep someone else comfortable. Every time I said it's okay, when it wasn't. And one day I woke up and realized I didn't know who I was anymore, just who everyone else needed me to be. If you've ever felt like you're carrying everyone else's emotions while your own life quietly falls apart, stay until the end. This isn't a hype video. This is a mirror, and you might finally see yourself in it. I used to think being nice was love, that if I stayed quiet, if I stayed agreeable, if I stayed easy to deal with, people would stay. So I learned to read rooms instead of speaking in them. I learned how to feel the shift in someone's mood the way sailors feel a storm coming, a change in their voice, a longer pause in their text, a sigh that meant something's wrong and it's probably your fault. And I would adjust myself, shrink my tone, soften my opinions, delay my needs, not because I wanted to, but because I was terrified of being the reason someone felt bad. That became my full-time job. Emotional babysitter, human shock absorber, the one who always says, "It's okay, I get it." Even when I didn't, even when it hurt, even when something inside me quietly whispered, "You're disappearing." At first, it feels noble. People thank you for being understanding, for being patient, for being so emotionally mature, but nobody tells you the cost. Because when you build your identity around not upsetting anyone, you start living in a permanent state of self-abandonment. You don't choose what you want. You choose what won't cause a reaction. You don't ask for space. You apologize for needing air, and slowly you start to feel less like a person and more like a stabilizer in everyone else's story. Your emotions become too much. Your boundaries become selfish. Your growth becomes a problem, not because you changed, but because you stopped playing the role they were used to. I remember the exact night something broke. It was past midnight. Phone glowing in the dark. Another message from someone I cared about. They were upset. Again, not because I did something wrong, but because I was tired, because I hadn't replied fast enough, because I wasn't emotionally available on demand. And I sat there staring at the screen, heart racing, chest tight, thumb hovering over the keyboard, and the old instinct kicked in. Fix it. Say sorry. Make it better. Don't let them feel bad. But this time, something else whispered, "What about you?" And that question hit harder than any accusation ever had. What about the nights I went to sleep feeling hollow? What about the dreams I kept postponing? What about the version of me that was always waiting after everyone else? I realized something terrifying. I wasn't being loving. I was being afraid. Afraid that if I stopped carrying everyone, no one would carry me. That's when it clicked. Real love doesn't require self-erasure. Real connection doesn't ask you to disappear so someone else can stay comfortable. That's not intimacy. That's emotional hostage-taking, and I had been volunteering for it. So I did the hardest thing I'd ever done. I stopped explaining. I stopped twisting myself into emotional origami to fit into other people's expectations. I started saying things like, "I'm not available for that. I need space. That doesn't feel okay to me." And let me tell you something. People don't always clap when you choose yourself. Some get confused. Some get angry. Some call you cold. Some say you've changed. But the truth, you didn't change. You finally showed up. There's a strange loneliness that comes with sovereignty. You stop being everyone's emotional crutch. and suddenly your phone is quieter. Fewer messages, fewer late-night confessions, fewer people needing you to fix their feelings. And at first, it hurts, because you start wondering, was I only loved for what I provided? But then something else happens. You wake up one day and feel lighter. Your thoughts don't race as much. Your chest isn't always tight. You start noticing things again. Sunlight, music, your own laughter. You get your inner world back. Sovereignty isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It feels like not checking your phone in panic, not explaining yourself when you don't need to, not feeling guilty for growing. It's the quiet confidence of knowing I'm responsible for my emotions. You're responsible for yours, and we can meet in the middle without bleeding into each other. That's not distance. That's health. I didn't become harder. I became clearer, and clarity is dangerous to people who benefited from your confusion. There was a moment, months later. I was sitting alone in a cafe. Just me. A notebook, a cup of coffee I didn't have to share emotionally with anyone. And for the first time in years, I felt whole. Not needed, not relied on, not dependent on, just me. And that felt like freedom. You don't realize you've been living in survival mode until you finally stop, until your nervous system exhales, until your shoulders drop, until your inner voice gets quiet. Sovereignty isn't rebellion. It's choosing to stand on your own emotional ground instead of being the floor everyone walks on. And when you do that, you don't lose people who matter. You lose people who needed you to stay small. If you're in that strange in-between space where you're tired and unsure and still hungry for something more, that's not confusion. That's your next chapter calling. If this story felt like it was speaking directly to you, like, subscribe, and comment I choose myself, because somewhere out there, someone else is still carrying everyone, and they need to know it's okay to finally put the weight down.